Welcome to the Canadian Expat, where we continue on our journey speaking with Canadians that are living abroad so that we might gain a bit of inspiration, obtain some advice, and perhaps hear a few cautionary tales. Today, we go to Morocco. If one is looking for adventure, there are few countries that present an opportunity like Morocco. How about overnighting in the Sahara? Perhaps world-class surfing on the Atlantic coast? Maybe trekking the high Atlas mountains that can take you to over 4,000 meters. And just to put that into perspective, that's higher than the tallest peak in the Canadian Rockies, which is Mount Robson at just 3,950 meters. You can even go skiing in Morocco. Yes, you can ski in Morocco. If outdoors is not your adventure, then surely a cultural adventure like visiting Marrakesh, Casablanca, or the tanneries in Fez is more within your vision. For the culinary adventurist, learning to cook with the fragrant spices of this amazing North African cuisine is like nothing else. In January 2016, Kathi Black, my next guest, was given the opportunity to take an adventure. She calls it an adventure. When she met an amazing Moroccan guide, and they decided to build a tour business together. Roaming Camels Morocco. Although it has been in business for a short time, just a few years, it now places in the top 5% of the more than 1,600 tour companies in Marrakesh. I'm excited to talk to Cathy about life in Morocco and maybe hear some secrets about her success. Cathy, welcome to the Canadian Expat.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, although I am in Toronto.
It seems like an extreme change from life in Toronto, your hometown, to Morocco. What was that like?
It is an extreme change. It was a little scary, but very welcome. I have lived in Toronto and in Banff for all of my life. And moving to Morocco gave me a chance to really have to think when I walked out the door and engage my brain in everyday life and really change things up. So it was a great leap, and I'm glad I did it.
So you said you grabbed this opportunity to go to Marrakesh to start a tour company there with your partner. Had you been to Morocco prior to that?
I went to Morocco in October 2015 with a friend on her dream vacation. I had to Google Morocco before I went to see what I had signed up for. And she liked it, and I loved it and moved back. It was on that trip that I actually met my business partner, and the plans hatched to get together and start a tour company.
That's amazing. And no looking back since then.
No looking back. No regrets.
That's quite a step. What about, I'm interested in how sort of the steps that take place to begin a business in a country like Morocco. Is that a difficult process? Is it easy?
It's very easy in Morocco. That's a double-edged sword. It's easy to have the idea, and it's fairly easy to start a business. It cost about 8,500 dirham, so around 1,000 Canadian dollars. To hire a good accountant who would form the business, and hiring the accountant and having him do all the work was the best choice ever, because there is a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of paperwork. And I'm sure expats in every country know that things don't run like Canada. when you're overseas. So it's a lot of patience required.
What about support systems there? Is there a Canadian community? I know many countries in the world have, or many cities, major cities have Canadian chambers of commerce, business councils, or even social groups. Is there any that sort of support in Marrakesh or in Morocco in general?
It does exist, but it's not exclusively Canadian. I have a Canadian friend, Andrea, and she and I are the representing ones. But I do have a lot of American friends and some British and Australian friends. So we have a group, a few Facebook groups that act as support. I would say that it's more in Morocco because of the culture. The support comes mostly from women as opposed to from Canadians. And that's a function of the culture. So I really do have a strong network of strong women that are in Morocco doing as I am, and who speak English and are American and British. Yeah.
So it's been now just over 3 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, coming up to 3.5. Yeah.
And I was surprised to see that, as I mentioned in kind of the top of the show, that according to Travelocity, I guess, the rating, you are in the top 5% of the 1,600 travel or tour companies in Marrakesh. That's amazing.
Yes, on
What can you?
TripAdvisor. Yeah.
Yeah. What TripAdvisor? That's right. Yeah. Well, what can you attribute to that success? What makes you so successful in such a short time?
Yeah. So I think there's two things. One is that we have a nice combination of a local expert on the ground, my business partner Mustafa, who does all of the logistics, as well as myself bringing a Canadian perspective. So people automatically, within a short period of time, trust us a little bit more because I am Canadian, and I tend to be outgoing and very forthright and upfront with things. So things are very clear. So we're easy to do business with. That's my only goal in life, is to be easy to do business with. And the other is Mustafa. To be honest, I chose to partner with a really experienced guide who's really well respected, and his work just shines through. He is an impossible force, and people just love him. So the guides that we hire and the trips that he leads himself are just blown away by his excellence. So that's been the driving force behind our company.
Well, that's certainly evident from the ratings that you've received. That's congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So you've boiled it down to some key components to doing business anywhere in the world, but I suppose even more so, or more importantly, as an expat, you've got to have key people on the ground that you trust, and that you can rely on, and a great attitude, which clearly you have.
Yes. Key people on the ground. It's really important to have people that you can trust, because there's a lot that you can't. When you're traveling and you're out there, there's a lot of people that you can't trust, and a lot of people that you want to trust but shouldn't. So finding that one or two key people that you can trust is critical.
What about that component, you being a Canadian? I'm curious as to whether or not that is a benefit, or does it cause any problems with you being a Westerner?
No, not at all. In Morocco specifically, I will always be a tourist. I look like a tourist wherever I go, and no matter how much of the local language I can speak, I will always be a tourist. But people welcome the fact that I am Canadian. I make it known that I'm Canadian. I wear a flag, and have a maple leaf tattoo, so it's not hard to tell. I'm very welcomed because I'm Canadian, and people have warm feelings towards Canada. The one thing that I find a little bit challenging relating to being Canadian is that I can't take any uh, banking advice or business advice from the Americans because their system is so different. So when it comes to transferring money or taxes or uh, setting up the business with any of the tools that are available, I find that I stay away from the Americans and I go to the British or the Australians for help because the American system is just so completely different.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Stick to the Commonwealth.
Yes, to the Commonwealth.
So, for those that are maybe thinking about starting a business abroad, whether that be in Morocco or elsewhere in the world, any advice?
No, I think it's just a matter of being organized and knowing what papers you need. I'm just actually investigating a business setup in Portugal, just out of curiosity. And the list of papers that you need in Portugal is the exact same as what you need in Morocco, really. So you need to be organized, and I find that timing is always the hardest part because everybody wants fresh documents, and having a police report coming from Canada and being able to process that in a foreign country within the time limits keeps you on your toes. There's no question. So, understanding the ins and outs of the RCMP background check and how to get that when you're not in Canada, um, those are little secrets that you need to research in advance.
So, I'm going to take one step back and talk about moving to Morocco as a Canadian. For those that perhaps find this video and are considering a move to Morocco, what sort of advice would you have for them?
I would say, you know, it's it's fairly easy to do. I would advise them to get to Morocco and find the right city for them. In within Morocco, all the cities are very different. So whether you choose to live in Casablanca or Fez or Marrakesh or in some place more rural, uh, that makes a big difference to your experience. So come look around, find your place, and then really it's very easy because you're not forced to get any formal papers in place for a period of time, and you can get an apartment with a passport. So, it's fairly easy to rent a place in the short term, get your feet wet, see if it's the right fit, before you really have to make any serious commitments. So definitely try it on for size first.
Is there anything from home that you're missing after being there for now a few years?
Yeah, maple syrup. It's heavy, that's the problem. It's too heavy to take in every suitcase. It's funny, I miss things from home. I miss the Costco size, replacement products, because, you can only get 14 reactant at a time, and I like to buy 54. Uh, but now that I'm in Canada for the summer and I've been in Morocco for 3.5 years, there's actually things in Morocco that I miss in Canada now. So, if there's anything that you simply can't get overseas, it's Kraft peanut butter. And maple syrup. Those are the two things that I probably miss the most.
Well, we wish you all the best. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll put a link to the company down in the description. And if you're okay with it, can people contact you if they're looking for advice in Morocco?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm happy to ask questions. I'm happy to, provide any answers that you need, or any connections. I'm happy for that.
And thank you very much for watching today. If you've enjoyed the video, I would invite you to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if you have any interest in participating in one of these videos, I would ask you to write that in the comments, because we would love to speak with you. Until next time.